Because listen, dude, I could have my camera guy after every workout, find me the best lighting.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with a very interesting topic regarding Nick Walker, where guys is saying specifically asked Nick in the latest episode of The Mutant and the Moth that why people aren't even considering him in their Miss Olympia 2024 top 5 spots, even though he has been a top 3 Olympian. Now there are two podcasts which most of us really watch. One of them is the Real Bodybuilding Podcast, which is hosted by Fuad, and the other one is the Menace Podcast, which is hosted by Dennis James. And these people start to make predictions about the Olympia at about 8 to 10 weeks out mark. So let's assume those are the predictions that Nick and Guy are referring to right now. So there are three panelists who did not have Nick in their top 5. And those are Milos, the lad, who picked theirs at the Menace Podcast, and Paul, who also did not have Nick in his top 5. And that was on the Bro Chat. So every other individual, they had Nick anywhere between 3rd and 5th. And that, I have to say, is a very realistic take. Now, even Nick Walker himself admits that if Hadi shows up the way he did for this year's Arnold Classic, especially the one in Columbus, or maybe even better than that, then he is gonna be Miss Olympia all day, every day. And there is nothing he can do about that. And there is absolutely no doubt in Nick's mind that he is more concerned about Hadi rather than Derek. In fact, he isn't worried about Derek at all. And even his coach Matt Jensen had the same views about Hadi being the best bodybuilder on the earth after what they saw at this year's Arnold.
Nobody, including myself, has the graininess that Hadi has. I'm right there. I'm right behind him. But that grainy and hard conditioning that Hadi has, no one really has that. And if he looks the way he did at the Arnold and somehow is even better for this Olympia, listen, it is what it is. You know what I mean?
So are you more worried about Hadi or Derek? Sounds like Hadi.
Hadi. Derek doesn't concern me.
So let's address the reasoning that Nick Walker gave on why some people do not consider him a contender for this year's Miss Olympia title. Now, as per Nick himself, one of the reasons is that he isn't posting physique updates as frequently as some of the other top guys are, especially the ones who are Olympia contender. Plus, he also said he doesn't have the best possible lighting when he takes those progress updates. And that, I have to say, is 100% true. Because Nick usually posts fasted updates in the worst possible lighting first thing in the morning. And we all know how good a pump and certain angles, plus that perfect lighting, can make you look a lot bigger and a lot more impressive. It can make you look a lot harder than how you actually are.
My photos that I post are in some shit lighting right out of bed, how it really looks. So when you put my photos against people that have this huge pump, the best lighting going on over in this area, a little shadow of this good lighting popping down on this nipple over here, it's like, oh my God, look at him, but then when they see me on the stage, they're like, holy shit. And it's like, you would think people would take that into some consideration here, but they don't.
But I have to say that isn't the reason why so many of us have Nick Walker not winning the Olympia this year. First of all, it is because of his performance at this year's New York Pro. Plus, it's simply because he has a structural disadvantage against so many guys out there, against guys like Derek and Hadi, and not even just against them, but Samson Dauda and Andrew Jagged as well. So he is the odd man out there without any shadow of a doubt, because all these 4 names that I just mentioned, they all have one thing in common, and that is the aesthetics, and that is the flow. And Nick Walker is the least aesthetic guy out of all these guys. Now, if Samson Dauda comes in way better than what we saw at the Arnold UK, or his conditioning is way better than we have ever seen on him before, there is absolutely no doubt that he is gonna beat Nick Walker, and he might even be an Olympia contender this year, and he might even win the entire damn thing. And same can be said about the Texas Pro champion, Andrew Jagged as well. I mean, how do you beat the most aesthetic looking physique in the history of this sport that we have ever seen, especially if he comes in even better than what we saw at this year's Texas Pro? So don't get me wrong, Nick 100% believes in his heart that he is winning the Olympia this year. But the thing is, there is nothing wrong in saying this. He needs some help from the other top guys, especially from Hadi, Derek and Samson. they need to come in off in order for Nick to win the Olympia title. And whether you like it or not, that is the truth. So I would love to hear your opinion about this in the comments below.
Because listen, dude, I could have my camera guy after every workout, find me the best lighting in the Raw gym with the biggest pump and take 1,000,000 photos, filter that shit, and class them all every single day for a week straight. Everyone would be like, oh.
Also, I have to say, if anyone should feel really disrespected when it comes to all these predictions, then that is your former Miss Olympia, Brandon Carey. Because none of these guys, not even a single one, they have him in their top 6. Most of these guys have Brandon in 7th place, behind Hunter Lebrona. At least that is the case at 8 weeks out of this year's Miss Olympia. Now for the record, Brandon has been proving people wrong since 2022. Even last year, when he was kinda off, and he was hospitalized just a day before the show, his carb loading protocol, that did not went according to their plan. Still, he was able to beat Andrew Jacked to place top 4 in the world. So what do you guys think? Can Brandon Carey shock the bodybuilding world again? Can he repeat last year's performance again and place top 4? Do let me know in the comments below. Next up, we have a 7.5 weeks out physique update of Logan Franklin. So will this be the year when Logan finally makes a big statement at a big show like the Olympia? So his coach Patrick Tour certainly feels that way. And he looks to be in a great spot for 7 weeks out of this year's big show. So Logan has always been that guy who stays unbelievably lean and shredded throughout the year. I mean, even in the off-season, he looks really diced. And that was the case even before he started working with Patrick Tour. So the last and the only time Logan was seen on the Olympia stage, that was 4 years ago, when he made his Olympia debut back in 2020. So he has worked with different coaches, guys like AJ Sims, Milo Sarcev, and last year he coached himself. But this is the first time he's working with Patrick. And we have seen in the recent past that Patrick's clients, they are almost always peeled to the bone. Just take a look at Laszlo Corrali and Stefan in Classic Physique, who brought their career's best look this year. You look at John De Rosa in the Men's Open, who is making improvements and reaching new levels in terms of conditioning at such a late stage of his career. And last but not least, you take a look at Keon Pearson, who has been improving every single year since 2022, because that was the year he started working with Patrick. So looking at all those things and all those athletes, chances are we are gonna see the best Logan Franklin at this year's Miss Olympia stage after all. Now, it is about the comparison with the top guys, because on his own personal level, he looks absolutely phenomenal. He looks the best he has ever looked. Very good flow, no missing body parts. But how will he compare with the top guys? So where did you guys have Logan at this year's Miss Olympia? Can he crack top 6? Next up, we have a physique update from Good Vito. So he's back with that famous Brazilian trainer and coach who was training him for his pro debut at the Arnold Classic Brazil as well as Detroit Pro, while his diet was being done by Chris Aceto. Now, after watching Good Vito at this year's Arnold Brazil and how peeled he looked, he basically outconditioned 2 Olympians, Rafael Brandão and Tony Burton. So some of us really thought that we are gonna see Vito at this year's Miss Olympia stage, and he actually leveled up for Detroit Pro this year. But Martin turned out to be the better bodybuilder that day. So Vito, being only 27 years old, he is one of the most impressive talents that we have seen in the men's open bodybuilding in the recent times. And with another solid off-season under his belt, he is gonna be even more complete. He is gonna be a force to be reckoned with. And that is why I decided not to go for this year's Miss Olympia qualification. So this guy probably has one of the best front double biceps in the men's open right now. His quads aren't just massive, they are deeply separated with amazing feathers. He can hit a very deep vacuum, and his arms look absolutely monstrous in that shot. So all he needs is more time to put on more density, more maturity, especially in certain areas, like his back. I personally think his back looked a lot more improved compared to what it looked like when he earned his pro card, especially for his age. So at the moment, I'm not really sure what show he is going for next, because trying to get the Olympia qualification earlier in the year by competing in one of the shows in that post-Olympia tour, that is gonna be a very good plan for Good Vito. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.